Hello and welcome to our weekly live chat every Thursday here on the ICA World Facebook page named Hello America's What's Cooking. I'm Xenia Pola, the Regional Director for North America, and I'm joined today by Belle Hanson and let me get this right now, International Society for Computational Biology. Did I get that right, Belle?
You did. Great job, Cassandra. Good job. Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here today.
Thank you so much for joining. And we love having also an association perspective, because in this show every Thursday we are chatting a little bit more about what's happening on the ground with some of the destinations, some of the meetings. And your side of the story is definitely something we really cherish and value. Our entire ICA community globally appreciates you joining us. And thank you everybody in the audience watching as well, and those who are watching in the recording. And you have already made an impact on the ICA community during the US Summit. You were part of the winning team, weren't you?
I was, yes. We had a great time. It was an opportunity to get together and do some out of the box thinking, out of the budget thinking, I guess, too, because the sky was the limit on the project, and we had a really good time collaborating and coming up with some great ideas. So yeah, it was a really fun opportunity to get together with some other individuals in the business and put forth our thoughts.
Thank you so much for being so active within ICA. But before we get started, just tell us a little bit more about you and ISCB.
Sure, absolutely. So Belinda Hanson, please just call me Belle Hanson. It's a long name to begin with. I am the Senior Manager of Operations and Programs for the International Society for Computational Biology. I'm a CMP, I'm a DES. I've been with the society now since 2015, so a few years under my belt with the society. ISCB is, as I mentioned, international. It's in our name. We run conferences, handle education and other collaborative efforts for all things computational biology and bioinformatics. So we have about 4,000 members. They're mostly PhDs in the field of computational biology and bioinformatics, working on putting life sciences and machine learning and data together, and those big data sets and those big problem solves. So anything from specialized medicine to really the sky's the limit. We have 21 communities of special interest within the society. So yeah, you can take a look at all those on our website.
Perfect. And we'll be streaming in the website at the end of our conversation. I know that when I spoke to Diane, your executive director last year, you were one of the first associations who actually had their annual meeting coming up as COVID hit, and you went digital, right? Can you share some of your key learnings from that experience?
Yes, nothing like having to turn an entire what was supposed to be in-person event into a virtual event in under 90 days. It was a lot. It was full steam ahead. It was everyone on board. It was all hands on deck. It was all of those different things you can think of. And we really just worked together. I will say, very fortunate. So Diane is actually now our CEO. So Diane and I serendipitously, unbeknownst to us, unbeknownst to the world, that COVID would be hitting and we would all be moving into digital. Both of us got our DES last year. I actually received my DES certificate at the end of December, 3 months before the pandemic hit. So very fortunate for the two of us that we had just received all of this additional training on digital events. So that was a huge help for us, being able to know what was out there, what was available. It was a struggle. We did it in such a short time. We didn't have time to adjust the program. So imagine what your normal in-person program. For us, it's 10 tracks across anywhere from 3 to 5 days, usually 4 days, starting about 9 in the morning and going anywhere from up until 6 at night. So that's a lot of science. It's a lot of talks. It's a lot of posters. We did not have the time to transition to a shorter day. So our digital meeting was very long. Staff was kind of locked at our desks with everyone's desk kind of looked like air traffic control. We had multiple computers and screens. And it was 14-hour days for us for sure. But the team was amazing. Everyone just did a really great job getting everything together, and huge thanks to our members who were just, they were there for it. They understood what was going on. They were ready to learn. They were ready to engage, and we just made the most of it, as you do.
That sounds like quite an undertaking, and I know you guys are probably still recovering from that effort. Moni is asking, for those who are not familiar with the acronym DES,
Sure.
would you be able to just share a little bit? And we were talking about that before we started, right?
Yeah, we were.
Associations and the acronym soups. We both have
Yeah.
there as well.
Yes. So DES stands for Digital Event Strategist. So it is, it's a course you can take. I believe PCMA they're definitely offering courses in it. And then they handle doing the scheduling of your certification. So it's a fantastic class where you are literally learning all that's going on in the digital environment. Other additional things, even for when you get to in-person, dealing with AV, technology, music, some contractual issues, having now, from what I've heard, the update of the course is talking about some hybrid when you're going to have virtual and in-person going on at the same time. So it's quite a great course to take. It kind of gives you a drinking through a fire hose of information, all things digital, virtual related that you want to implement for your events. And yeah, so that's what DES is.
And just to piggyback on that, because you also mentioned the word hybrid and obviously digital. What are you doing this year? What have you learned from last year?
Sure. So we learned a lot. Quite a lot. As I mentioned, we had a very short turnaround for our first meeting. Being international, with that added layer of individuals traveling, we are 100% virtual again this year. Our annual is just a couple weeks away. So so we're just a couple weeks away. We're getting ready to do the staff first look at the platform build tomorrow morning. So not quite back to in-person yet for us. That international component, we want to err on the side of safety. So we are 100% virtual again, but we learned a lot. We learned, how to adjust those schedules. We added an extra day in so that we could have shorter days, that we could have more breaks, that we allowed everyone the opportunity to network in a multitude of ways. Not everyone likes to network or chat the same. So we have added in things that work for all of our members so that everyone has that sense of being a part of the meeting in an area or in a way that they're comfortable. So we have small roundtable networking that can occur. We have one-on-one that can occur, and we have then some larger groups as well. So you have those different ways, and then you also have that asynchronous Q&A going on with the poster presenters or the presenters within the main program itself. So that's where we're at.
And talking about international, how did you solve the time zones and issue?
So 2 ways. One, our schedule is all in UTC. So it allows individuals, once they get into the platform, it'll put it into their own time zone. So that's really important. But we've been letting everyone know it's UTC. hey, here's a little click through button to do a time zone conversion for you. Yes, we are international. We're all over. The other thing that was really important for us was we did a little rearrangement of the schedule. Instead of having that keynote first thing in the morning, we moved the keynote, that main time, to later in the day. That way it is beneficial to more time zones with its new location in the schedule. The last thing we did is everything will be on demand. That way, if you're waking up in Tokyo and you've realized you've missed most of the day, you have an opportunity to watch those things that you missed on demand that same day.
Okay, and we have two questions which are almost covering this same thing. Moni was asking, when do you see face-to-face meetings coming back? And Glenn is saying, congrats, first of all, on the great things and on this year. But in a perfect world, do you see next year annual being in person or hybrid?
So next year, so I'll answer that question first of when do we see ourselves getting back in person? Definitely not before 2022. For us, we are hoping potentially for a small event in February. There are some affiliated or satellite events happening later in the spring, and then our annual will be in July next year. And we are so hopeful and so excited that we're going to be back in person. We will be in person, but we absolutely will have a virtual component. I don't like the word hybrid, only because what's happening in person is not the same experience that your virtual attendees are having. And yes, we are trying to find a way for collaboration to occur between those individuals, but it is not going to be the exact same experience for virtual as it is for in person. And you have to go into that planning your strategic outline of what the event's going to be, knowing that you have different key components that you need for your in-person than you have for your virtual attendees. One thing that I think is super excited that we learned, and we're so excited that this is why we can never give up virtual for us, is that going virtual, we have members on every continent. I'm not sure about Antarctica, but at least 6 continents we have members on. And having a lower cost to attend, not having the travel, not having the hotel, not having those additional fees, we were able to have members attend some of our events for the first time. We were able to have members join from further reaches, from some different economic background, that would never have been able to attend in the past. And we don't want to take that away from them. We want to ensure that education, that science, that research is still readily available to them. So we definitely will have that virtual component to our meeting. Is it going to look the same as what it's looking this year with us being 100% virtual? I don't know yet. We're working through that. We're going to see how the meeting goes in just 2 weeks. And then, of course, ask our attendees what the most important things were for virtual for them. And then we'll take that to heart and we'll look at it and we'll come up with our strategic plan for what next year is going to look like.
This is almost preempting my next question. I was wondering, are you planning to design 2 different audience experiences in future?
I would say a little bit, not fully, but one thing we're trying to look at now is, will we be live streaming, or for our virtual audience, will things only be available on demand? Or, what does that timeline look like? Our annual meeting rotates between North America and Europe. So we have to think about that as well when we're looking at the timeline. We happen to be in North America next year, hopefully in person, live, all things going well. So that makes it already later in the evening for Europe. So we will have to think about that. I can't say definitively yes, that we will be completely doing 2 different programs, but yes, I absolutely see that what we'll be offering in person versus virtual will be, somewhat of a different, a little bit different.
And what is currently the biggest challenge for you as an association when it comes to your meetings?
any of you other association planners in the scientific medical realm will totally understand this and take this to heart. For us, it's timelines. Being virtual, timelines are earlier. They're so much earlier. So because you want everything on the platform, that production team needs to get the platform up and running. They need to get everything loaded. Those timelines are much earlier. To make it fair and as seamless as possible, we do all of our submission talks pre-recorded. So only our keynotes and our invited speakers are live. Everyone else is pre-recorded with live Q&A. So we do it as a semi-live. That's a twofold problem. It solves two problems. One, it ensures we have everything and it's ready to go. And two, again, we have individuals that are presenting from all over the globe. We have a lot of bandwidth issues. This solves some of that bandwidth issue. So it allows people to stay off camera to save some of their bandwidth. The production team itself has those videos, so that saves some of the bandwidth as well. So that's become huge for us. But with that said, these are scientists, these are researchers. They want to be able to put their slides together the last possible minute because they're pulling data that, it's still running. They want to make sure they have the latest, greatest, most up-to-date information that they're going to be presenting on. And so telling them that they have to have their videos turned in 3 weeks beforehand is not what they want to hear. So that's been our biggest challenge. But, we work through it. Everyone's been really great about it. We definitely, it takes collaboration and it takes understanding and it takes a lot of communication to make it happen. So having your presenters understand why we need it so much earlier, having the production team understand why we can't have them all to you by this date because this one presentation, literally data is still running on a computer. They cannot have their video done for another 3 days. So I think just communication solves a lot of those hiccups, I will say. I don't like to say anything's a challenge. It's just a hiccup.
I think the stress level for most meeting organizers is the one parallel to air traffic controllers. When you have your presenter still changing the slide on stage while you are showcasing it from the room where all the production is done. Yes, I understand you totally. And I think it's only getting worse instead of better.
Yeah. So, but I think, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, no,
go ahead. No, I was just saying, I think, like I mentioned, communication is key to that. So having them think about XYZ, why we're asking for this, not just, it's kind of I call it the 3-year-old, how I would explain to a 3-year-old, they want the why, and it makes sense to give them the why, because you don't always think about that. We don't always think about that when we're asking for something or when someone's telling us we have to do something. So again, communication.
Excellent. I just wanted to at least get a few questions in about your future planning.
Sure.
Have you already started redrafting some of your RFPs? Are you changing your rotation pattern because you were saying about North America 1 year and Europe 1 year? So anything you can shed some light on some of your future planning, that would be great.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have not started any new RFP processes yet because we were very fortunate that we were able to move all the puzzle pieces around for the meetings that we had to cancel. We were able to just do a recontract reschedule. So basically we just pushed some years out and able to do that. We had, pushed this, what we missed in 2020 got pushed to this year, which meant what we were supposed to be there. They will, so everyone was really fantastic to work with. Everyone was understanding. I applaud every single city we're going to in the next 4 to 5 years because they all understood, they all got it, and they were so wonderful to work with to get us moved around. We are not changing the pattern for our annual. We were all able to make it all work. So we will continue with our standard North America even years, Europe and odd years. We are, however, shaking some things up for our regional and topical meetings. So we have a Latin America and an Africa meeting that our every other year. We're kind of changing up some of the time of the year for one of those meetings potentially. We have a topical meeting on regulatory and systems genomics that's going to be sliding forward on the scale, which we've wanted to do for a couple of years, but with that in person, you couldn't change things. It was where it was in the rotation. So this actually gave us an opportunity to relook at that calendar, relook at what we needed moving forward, and we're able to make some of those adjustments over the course of 21 moving into 22.
That's actually what's been happening with a lot of the associations and events. A lot of the things which were in the pipeline and people never got to do, the pandemic has really pushed it forward and opened up as well, especially event technology. I think we've gone light years from where we were last year. And may I just mention here that as soon as you know your future planning, can you also make sure to let the ICA researchers know, so we update our database on your regional events as well? So our members are totally up to date on that. And before we finish off, I want to just hear from you. Is there anything else you wanted to share with the ICA community? Maybe something about yourself, your organization, or a recipe?
Yeah, well, two things. One, I will share that even though it was a pandemic and it was rough, something good always comes out of the bad. That's my kind of look on life. It was a rough year. We did, moving to virtual, we were able to take a second and we looked at our registration structure. And for our meetings, again, we talk about all these individuals coming from different continents, different things going on. And our membership fees for many years now, have been using the World Bank's economic structure. So we have a tiered membership structure. We decided to apply that to our registration fee structure. And we were delighted to see how beneficial that has become. And I'm really hoping that we are going to be able to continue that. We definitely will be able to continue it in a virtual environment. I'm not sure in an in-person environment yet, but so again, we all have these dark moments, we all have these struggles, but something amazing always comes out of it. That is something that you will continue to use, to perpetuate, to work with. So business-wise, don't get discouraged. From a personal side, let me see. Don't be so hard on yourself. It was a rough year. We were all juggling 1,000 things, school being virtual, online, hybrid, spouses and partners, and working from home at the same time, and internet crashes, and gaining weight, losing weight, going to the gym, picking up a new hobby. Just take a deep breath. For me, we were all stressed. We were all frustrated. We were all overwhelmed at times. And everyone should take a deep breath and a moment to think about the good days, the really good days, when something awesome happened. My sister-in-law had a senior in high school at home this year, and she said, the best thing about the pandemic is I never would have got to spend this much time with my son before he left for college. We moved during a pandemic. So we were our kind of own tiny little family unit. We didn't know any of our neighbors. We couldn't meet any of our neighbors. It gave my husband and I a fantastic opportunity to spend time with our kids in ways that we hadn't in the past. So take a second. Look at the good things that have come out of it. Hopefully you learned a new skill. Maybe you became an excellent cook, or started making your own beer, or, smoking your own meats. Painting again, picked up a hobby you hadn't had. Just think about that and let that carry you forward as things start to pick up and things start to get more chaotic and hectic in a different way. Don't lose touch of those moments.
Indeed, and Monica is rightly saying you got that right, and thank you. And I couldn't have wished for a better ending to our chat than such a positive message from a business as well as personal perspective. And for anybody who wants to find out more about the International Society for Computational Biology, please visit their website, iscb.org. Thank you so much, Belle. It was an extreme pleasure to have you as a guest on our Hello America's What's Cooking show. I'm sure everybody enjoyed our conversation as much as I have. And please give our regards to your team as well.
Will do. Thank you so much for having me. It was a delight to be here.
Thank you so much. And for anybody who wants to consider joining us as a guest, please feel free to email me at xenia.p@ecoworld.org. As mentioned, we are usually here every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the ECA Facebook page. However, we are taking a short summer break because we are preparing our ECA Canada Summit for 24th of August. And we know a lot of people are having enough of all those online sessions. So we are full steam ahead preparing for our hybrid meeting. We will have in-person audience as well, and lots of exciting things happening during the Canada Summit. So please look out for that information coming your way probably next week. And we'll resume the live chats again after the Canada Summit, first week of September. Everybody have a lovely summer, and thank you again, Belle.
Oh, my pleasure.